walking through wind, chill up on my skin, through rain, through clouds, through calm, through storm, through struggle, my friend. Nevertheless, I'm in, Muslim to the end. Through rain, through clouds, through calm, through storm, through struggle, till it ends. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone to Islamic Learning with Masjid As-Sabur. I am Adrian Jasper, your host, and we are continuing our discussion. Muhammad Ali, God the greatest, made him great. And as you know, he passed away June 3rd of this year, and at the age of 74. And we're just here to honor our fellow Muslim brother who was loved all over the world by people of all faiths, all walks of life, kings, to paupers, and everything in between. Mm-hmm. So we're just here to continue our discussion about him. And our guest, Brother Aleem Shabazz, who has a sports newsletter titled Crescent Sports, which is a newsletter showcasing Muslim athletes. And Brother Omar Shareef. I know that.
I know you
do. So we're going to talk about his humanitarian work and then his Parkinson's, how he navigated through that with such grace, and the impact that he made on just by showing the world, how he's able to still be such a powerful force in the world, within that, throughout that, that challenge. Mm-hmm. So he was the voice for the voiceless all over the world, and he was particularly drawn to poor people. He was loved by kings and queens, but he was drawn to poor people. Mm-hmm. And he fought injustice all over the world. He went to Afghanistan and North Korea, and he went to Cuba. He sent medical supplies to Cuba. Mm-hmm. He traveled to Iraq in 1980 and secured the release of 15 U.S. hostages, mm-hmm. Which is amazing. Mm-hmm. And so this is the type of man he was. So when you think of Muhammad Ali, boxing, George Foreman, he said, boxing should be the last thing that you think of when you think of Muhammad Ali. So as a Muslim, it's like, wow, we got some big shoes. We better start releasing hostages.
Better start doing something. Huh?
So just on that, with that type of example, as a Muslim, what do you think that, well, let's take it, let's start with ourselves. Mm-hmm. What would you like to expand on as far as your good deeds? And if you look at Muhammad Ali's life, and you look at let's just look at the Muslim community in general. What do you think we could do better to maybe reflect? I mean, we can't expect everybody to release hostages and all that, but
no. But I think I understand your question. But as you said, the example was there with Muhammad Ali's life, but also in our book, the Holy Quran, Allah tells us that we should have the kind of character that is shown to us in the Quran. What I mean by that is, you say, what should the Muslims do? Muslims should be Muslims. That's what I think, and that's because to be a Muslim means that you submit to the Muslim means one who submits his or her will to the will of God, and it's God's will that by nature we are Muslims. In fact, we as Muslims believe that everything in creation is Muslim, because everything must submit to the will of God. The only creature that has the ability to rebel against that is the human being. So when we adhere to our nature, that is to be a Muslim, that means then you are a friend to the poor. You are come to the aid of the oppressed. You are charitable. You are kind. You are all the things that you should be. And we had an example before us, as we still have, and that is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the perfect example and had the perfect character that was shrouded in the dictates of the Holy Quran. So he exhibited that. In fact, it was his wife Aisha said he was the Quran walking, meaning that his character emulated exactly what the Quran tells us as Muslims we should be. And that's what Muhammad Ali was doing. He was doing no more than what he understood Islam to be, which made him the person that he is. You know, and I say is because our book tells us, think not of those who have passed in the way of God, who have fought and given in the way of God as dead. They are not dead. We just perceive not. So to understand that means that you live on through your deeds. And so as Muslims, that's what we should be trying to do good deeds.
Crescent Sports did a tribute to Muhammad Ali in 1998. And I think that this picture right here exhibit everything about Muhammad Ali. Because he could be in a room and he could be doing an interview. But if a child is crying or if a child needs attention, he would stop and tell them, just a minute, and take care of that child. That's the type of person Muhammad Ali was.
If I may, to show you, to try to show you, like I was mentioning Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Allah's God's peace be upon him. One of the hadiths or stories about the Prophet is that his relationship with children. And it was said that during prayer, you know, we make prostration, we kneel, we put our heads into the floor. And in one of the prostrations say the children would come and climb all over his back and be playing around him. And he would just continue on with his prayer. And that was an example for us, you know, you have to understand children will be children and they have needs, emotional needs. And this picture exemplifies the same kinds of thing of Muhammad Ali with the children. And he had a special affinity, like you said, for the children. And for well, yeah, praise be to Allah.
Yeah, I was when I was listening to the memorial service on NPR, they were talking about when he was, I can't remember what country, but there was a boxing match where a youth had lost his fight, and everybody went over to the winner, and so he went into he wanted to go see the loser. I think Billy Crystal told this story. So he went into the loser's locker room, and you know everybody was just down and low, and then when he walked in, he said he brought the kid from here to here, you know, and he told him, you know, don't give up, don't quit, you know.
That's right.
And I just thought that was just so beautiful.
Yeah,
And that was
Ali.
just, yeah, it was just like, you know, in a nutshell, you know, it's like he focuses on, you know, the downtrodden,
That's
you know,
right.
and uplifting people's spirits.
Right.
And I just thought that was just, you know, in a nutshell, his whole character.
Now that is Islam. That is Islam. If you want to see an example of what Islam is, Muhammad Ali exemplifies that in terms of his life. We get so many stories in the media now, Islamicists and all the terms that they use that are so ugly and negative.
Right.
But, you know, if you really want to understand what a Muslim is, you have to look to the life of those who actually live the religion, like Muhammad Ali, like Imam Waruddin Muhammad, like Elijah Muhammad, like those who did everything they could to bring the example of what a Muslim is. And
Right.
we're not perfect. Understand that. When I identify those men, and there are many women, Sister Claire Muhammad, please, please. You talking about a woman of stature that God lifts high and high in stature. She would be one. That was the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is behind every great man there's a great woman. There's no doubt about that. Behind every great woman is hopefully a great man. So, alhamdulillah. So that's yeah, alhamdulillah.
Another thing I thought was interesting about his life is the fact that when he was 12 years old and he got his red Schwinn bike stolen.
Yeah.
And then he vowed to go whoop the man who stole his bike.
Right.
And then a policeman who had a boxing studio taught him how to fight.
Right.
You know, so here it is. a young black boy being taught to fight by a police officer, then he turns into the greatest
right.
fighter in the world.
A Caucasian police officer.
Caucasian police, yeah.
That's right.
In the midst of,
in the South.
yeah, with all that racial turmoil,
Right,
and now look at
right,
today, and
right.
with looking at today, how all the tension between the African American community and some police, and that's just such a symbol of what could happen.
Well, let's just say this, and this is very profound that our Holy Quran gives us. It says, "Man plans and God plans, but God is the best of planners."
Mm-hmm.
So you can plan all your plan you want, but if it don't fit in God's plan, it ain't gonna work, and God's plan will manifest.
Yeah, and I thought it's what his wife said, Muhammad Ali's wife said at his memorial service, when she said, when a kid in the inner city and a cop talk, miracles can happen.
That's
and
right.
I just thought that was just so profound.
It was profound. Now, just since we're talking, another thing that now we were talking about before, what things affected you about Muhammad Ali's life. One of the things that really impacted me was the fact that when he came home from winning the gold medal at the Olympics, and then he went downtown to go to a restaurant. He was invited to come. And when he got there, found out he could not. They would not allow him to come in and eat with the other people. And he went to the river. I understand. Took his gold medal and threw it in the river. Now that profoundly affected me. It showed me that these material things have no value if you don't have your human rights. If you don't have your humanity, they have no value to you at all. And here's a young boy. A young boy, I say boy, he couldn't have been too much older, about 19 or something when he won that Olympics. This gold, which he could have went and pawned and probably got quite a bit of money for, if he wanted to get rid of it, had no value to him. Took it off and threw it in the river. Whew, that should right there tell you what kind of character he had as a young man.
Wow. So again, you work with a lot of athletes and with your newsletter, and what do you think about? Do you think that people aren't vocal enough in the sports arena outside of sports, or what do you feel about? Should they be speaking more on social issues?
Very good question.
Or just keep those endorsements?
I think that many of the today athletes, I'm not saying that they're scared, but their framework of struggle is different. So they didn't have to go through, many of them didn't have to go to Jim Crow. Many of them didn't personally been called nigger. And I think the other aspect of it is that as a community, we need to make sure that our young people are educated about the past. It seems that the only way that is, in a lot of aspects, it's not being taught in the school. When I was going to school, it wasn't taught. The only way that I started learning Black history is when I went to college. And once you start learning, you start having a whole different understanding about the struggles. Even if you wasn't there, you could read about the Birminghams. You could read about the lynchings. And then I think that's what impacted me the most, is when I looked at this picture with this man being hung and the people were partying.
Sure.
So many of the I think the youth of the day don't have a frame of historical reference, because if they did, they would speak out. But they're LeBron James and some of the other ones, they're doing some pretty good things, and that's another reason why Crescent Sports was developed, because there are a lot of athletes that are doing a lot of good, but they get no playtime because it's not news.
Right.
And so that was one of the primary objectives for us, is for Muslim athletes and non-Muslim athletes to report on the good that they do in the community. So the question is that they are doing
There's
some good
doing
things.
some good
But
things, sure.
the main media is, if they're not doing, if it's not negative press,
Sensational.
if it's not sensational, then they're not going to report it. Just like LeBron James with his scholarships, something like 400 or 500 scholarships for the youth in Akron, Ohio. That he, if they get to a certain grade, he's giving them scholarships. But you never hear about that.
Wow.
So I think that there are a lot of athletes doing things, but the major media sources don't report on them.
Well, another thing, we can't underestimate the impact that slavery had on us as a people, and the mentality that we are fighting to overcome. And that plays a big part. It's subliminal. It's really almost, it's not subliminal anymore, but it's sometimes unconscious that we don't see that effect on us. When you're talking about the athletes, if you look at the I'm just talking about the African American athletes now, with the amount of money that they're making these days, it's in the billions. It's in the billions probably. So that being the case, you would think, because another thing the Holy Quran says, it says that Allah will never change the condition until you first change within yourself. So to me, that says that we have to collectively want to change our condition. And because of the slave mentality that's been imposed on us, and we're still coming out of, that sometimes that's difficult. And like you said, every athlete has its own history, and you can't clump them all together in terms of how they should be LeBron James or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or those who have exhibited those kinds of outward acts of charity, So, but God plans and man plans and God plans, and God's the best plan.
And I'd like to make one comment about Stephen Curry that many people don't know about. That there's an organization called Hoops for Nets.
Yes.
And every 3 points that he make is donated nets to people in Tanzania, because you know that it's a problem.
The mosquito nets.
Yes, mosquito nets.
Yes.
And so he's doing that big time.
He's made a lot of threes. We know that.
No, but every three, but that's not news.
Wow.
You'll never ever hear it unless it comes from an alternative source.
Sure.
Okay, you heard about his fiance. They blew that up into,
I didn't hear about that. What happened?
well, I'm just kidding. Well, his wife.
I'm just kidding.
But things like that, a lot of those athletes are doing, what he's doing in Tanzania is just tremendous.
It's wonderful.
And he's been doing it for the last 5 years. But you never hear it in mainstream media.
Well, you got to be like, what's the gentleman's name? Who's the news journalist? Comes on MSNBC, the one who, oh God, how come I can't remember his name? I love it. The one who made all the desks that he sends to Africa, because they were the schools where they were learning on the floor, and he started making these desks and sending them and getting charitable donations, and now he's done thousands of them and distributed them throughout Africa.
So how often does your newsletter, The Crescent, come out, and where can people?
Well, at this time, we're looking for support to keep it going. It's, a lot of time we talk about the youth and helping the kids. Sometimes we just need
some support.
So.
And don't worry, the next edition will be out soon.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So we have some more photos from the event that you attended called Shake It Till You Make It, and that was to raise funds for Parkinson's, correct?
Yeah, raise funds for Parkinson and Brian Grant's Foundation.
Okay. And so now Muhammad Ali, with his Parkinson's, a lot of people, they wouldn't have been as visible, they, wouldn't want to be seen, but he wanted everybody to see that he was, he said that God gave him Parkinson's to remind him that God was the greatest,
That's right,
and that he
that's
was
right.
human.
That's right.
And so I thought that was,
So Wally.
yeah, yeah, it was amazing, because God, he will humble all of us.
Very humble.
No matter how great you are, he's going to humble you.
Well,
and say,
you know,
hey, I'm
the thing
greatest.
about Muhammad Ali, all with his boisterousness and his being like he was a very humble brother.
Oh yeah.
He was a very humble brother. If you got him in a situation, you would see that humility. In just a normal human situation, you would see the humanity, the humility come out of him.
So what do you think about the way he navigated through Parkinson's?
Oh wow, like a true giant. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when you saw Muhammad Ali and you saw him shaking, it didn't register as a negative at all in your mind. What you saw was courage.
Yes.
That's right.
You saw courage.
That's true.
If you remember when
That's
Muhammad
true.
Ali, when they lit the
Olympic torch
the
in
torch,
1994.
and he was behind that thing here. He was already up there and then behind the thing. And then the lady, I think it was a lady or whoever,
Yes.
came up there with the torch, and he stepped out on the stage shaking. Everyone saw him shaking, but that wasn't the focal. The focal point was him having the courage to do that.
That's right.
And so
Right.
shaking wasn't something negative. It was very positive, and it instilled courage in everyone.
Yeah, I remember that, 1994.
That's right.
And I wasn't even really into the Olympics, but when I turned and I saw him come out, you just felt the energy come from the television. Like,
You felt
wow,
empathy.
That was
you
just.
you empathized.
No,
you
you
were with him.
That's what I mean. I felt the courage and
Yes.
the power and the strength, and it's like, wow, God is
You
just
didn't
shining.
sympathize. You empathized.
Yeah.
You were part of it.
Yeah, and it was inspirational.
That's
It's
exactly
like,
right.
it makes you realize that you really don't have a lot to complain about.
Absolutely.
If he can get through that,
Absolutely.
and still persevere,
Indeed, yes.
we have little to complain about.
We have little to complain.
So,
about. Well said.
Again, we are going to be having an event here in Sacramento on July 23rd to honor Muhammad Ali at the Crescent Theater.
The memorial to honor Muhammad Ali. Memorial to honor Muhammad Ali. That's the name.
Okay, is there a time set yet?
No, not well.
Yeah, 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's yes.
Okay,
But
so,
we're still getting that locked down based on the venue.
Okay.
But yes, 2 to 4.
okay,
on the
so
23rd.
look for that July 23rd, and it's going to be open to the public. So look for that. And I want to share a quote that Muhammad Ali said. "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing."
I heard that.
So isn't that powerful?
That is very powerful.
That was powerful.
Very profound.
I just like to say one thing that one of the things that Muhammad Ali was very, very proud of is the Muhammad Ali Center, and beautiful center where
Knoxville?
in Knoxville, where people can go and live their experience.
Mhm.
So I really would like people to know about the Muhammad Ali Center.
I would say there's one of our brothers who just came back. He was fortunate to have gone down to Knoxville for Muhammad Ali's janazah, his funeral, and that was Brother Yusuf Ali. So you might want to have him on the show one time, because he's been to the Muhammad Ali Center, and he has a few things he could probably share with you.
Okay, and also visit his website, muhammadali.com, and just learn a little bit more about him, and yeah. So again, thank you for tuning into Islamic Learning with Masjid As-Sabur. We are located at 4921 15th Avenue in Sacramento, off of Stockton Boulevard. Our Friday prayer services are at 1:30 p.m. every Friday. It's open to everyone. You're welcome to come and listen and learn, get to know our community. We have a beautiful community, and we're all part of the same community. And and our website is www.masjid-as-Sabur.org. So please check us out, learn, get to know us. We're here for you. So thanks for tuning in. And again, Muhammad Ali, rest in peace. We love you. And assalamu alaikum.
Peace be with you.
You healed me on this day. Praise and praise to you. When I was feeling ill, praise and praise to you. Down with no direction, praise and praise to you.
I want to remind everyone, Masjid As-Sabur, 4926 15th Avenue. Our new masjid is gorgeous. We just finished planting over 100 plants in front of the masjid. We just got through cleaning up the kitchen and getting ready to clean up all of the wudu stations, and we want you to come and join us. Every Friday, 1:30 p.m., Masjid As-Sabur, Sacramento. We are also on the web, www.masjidasabur.org. And we're on Facebook, so please like us. Again, we thank you for your patience and your time. We want to remind you that God truly has a message for you. And we want to remind you that we are here to give you any help that you may need. As God has taught us, He is a merciful God. As long as you come to Him and ask forgiveness, He will forgive you. So no matter where you are in life, there is a hope for change.